mainly I'm doing this. I'm just trying to like show contrast from the last in the bag I did, which was 30 minutes long, and I think I showed like 100 discs or some shit like that. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm just kind of just trying to showing what I am throwing now. So I'm going to do this in reverse because I've already messed with my drivers, and I have mostly drivers. So of course, like any amateur, you have mostly drivers, right? It's your first thing you have to go to. Look for the fastest disc. So today, and the reason I also was doing this too is, excuse me, the reason I'm doing this today is because I just got done playing around at Golden Gate Park, and there was a guy selling MVP plastic, and I've been wanting to try their plastic. I got a good deal on them, and so I was like, oh well, I'm gonna add these to my bag. And I noticed that I've been playing relatively with the same discs. And of course, as you shake your bag out, things are going to change. But these are the ones I'm doing with right now. The start of my season is going to be actually in April. I'm going to be playing at the Central Coast Showdown in Paso Robles. And there's also the King of the Mountain coming up in a couple of weeks, but I'm on the wait list, so I don't know if I'm going to be in for that, but I will be in LA, so hopefully, cross some fingers. But anyways, so my putters are simply 3 putters. This was my main putter for the longest time. It's the Gateway Wizard. It's just it's a very stiff plastic. Overstable. I could also use it for other types of shots where I need like an anhyzer, kind of a throw slight anhyzer, so it can just kind of fade and then land. And I also like because if I'm like 50 feet out or 75 feet out, I know that this disc is gonna fight any kind of windy conditions and get to the basket. But it has fallen away, but it's going to stay in the bag. To this MVP Atom, it's a misprint, so that's why it looks all funky. But I like it; it's just super tacky, and it has a nice shallow rim. And every time I've released it at the basket, it just kind of laser beams towards the basket, and it feels really good in the hand. So versus any other putter I've ever thrown. So I'm going to say that this is going to stay because I like the fact that it'll tell me kind of like how I'm throwing my putts. And so I know I'm throwing at the basket, and so it should hit the basket, which it has been. So I'm not, left or right of it. So right now it's just showing me if I'm too high or too low. And so, yes, really enjoy that one. And then I have this Latitude 64 Pure. It's got a slimmer profile, so it's actually really good as a throwing putter. And I'll use these for like a 100-foot upshot or something, in a wide open field, or if I need to get around a tree, it's really good. It's overstable, so it's really good for hyzers. My mid ranges, I was playing with the Champion Rock 3 per the usual, but that most people will throw with their mid ranges. But I like it. It's good. It feels kind of wonky in my hand. It definitely, if I release it straight, hyzer or anhyzer, it holds those lines. And I like the fact that it doesn't skip a whole lot once it hits the ground. So it's fine. But I found a better mid range. That better mid range is the Squall from DGA, and the reason I like this one because it is a laser out of my hand. Like, I get the sucker out straight, and it just stays that way. I don't put myself in a position where I need to throw it out on a hyzer. I always look for this thing to fly straight, and then when it gets to the end of its flight, It'll come back. It'll come in nice and overstable, and I really enjoy this disc a lot ever since I found it, and I'm definitely going to. The ones that are like my absolute favorites, I'm going to double up on. So that's probably, there will be another in the bag later showing that because, just because. Disc golf. So I got an MVP plastic. Again, there was a guy out there, he was selling this MVP stuff. And so I got this mid-range. It has a kind of and it's got a understable flight to it. So I set it out on a hyzer. It'll flip up. It gets some good travel, but it's not too understable. So, but if I need like an anhyzer line as well and have it fight back towards the end, I really notice that this one has that ability. So I like it, and it's going to have some more time in my bag. But for playing purposes and knowing truly what it's going to do, DGA Squall. And for more MVP that I bought, so I bought 4 of these, 4 discs. I got the Photon, the Inertia. Photon's got a nice, it's got a nice understable flight to it. So you get it on a hyzer, it'll flip up, get some nice distance, and it floats in the air pretty good, and then it finishes left. I did do one shot where there was an anhyzer line necessary, and it came out and it just traveled way right, and then eventually fought its way back left. So I'm enjoying this disc. It feels good in the hand. The Inertia, it has a understable. It has a nice hyzer flip to it. But what I really like about it is that from the hyzer to the flip, it stays, and it just lasers straight out and gets me a lot of distance. I've tried. I intended to really try to throw the crap out of it, and it didn't flip over too much like the turns will. But it did flip up and just stayed, and I'm really, really enjoying these 2 discs right now. Dedicated overstable disc, dedicated overstable disc, dedicated overstable disc. All right, so Champion Firebird and the Champion Monster. I bought the Firebird first. I like it. It's cool. It does its thing. You throw it, and you throw it out flat, it fights back to overstable. You give it a little bit of ante, it fights back to overstable. 300 feet, so you just kind of those nice hooking shots. But it was okay. It was okay. And then the Monster came along. The Monster stomped on it and ate the Firebird up, because this thing is predictably overstable. Like, I've thrown extreme anhyzers with my forehand. I've thrown extreme anhyzers with my backhand. And this will fly for about 50 feet that way before it flies back in. So I really enjoy this Monster for the simple fact that it's very dedicated in its flight path. No matter how much I fight it this way, it's going to end up fighting back to the left. So if there's shots where I need to kind of, do that nice little quick S pattern, this is the one for it. Or if I need like just a nice hyzer line on it, and for like a spike hyzer, this is perfect for that type of shot. Same thing as Innova Factory Second X Out. I don't know what it was made out, what model it was after. All I know, it's got a nice thick rim, wide rim on it. But I was using it predominantly for forehands, but I stopped on my forehands for a couple of years just for the simple fact that I was having technique issues, and so I was having a lot of tendonitis issues, and so that forced me to work on my backhand game. So I got this. This has been in my bag from when I first started playing disc golf, and I like this one just for the simple that same flight pattern as the Firebird. Though if I try to throw it on an anhyzer, it'll probably hold that line. With this for a good anhyzer, this just gets distance. It just gets out there, rides the wind, and gets me a lot more distance than the Firebird or the Monster can ever do. I got the for my anhyzers, and I just started working on my rollers, my backhand rollers. I got the EchoStar plastic for Innova, the Valkyrie, and I got a misprint Champion Mamba. This one's a -5 on its turn. This one's a -2. So depending on the type of roller I'm trying to get down, or let's say I'm trying to do a sky roller, I'm more likely going to hit this one because it's going to travel and float up and just kind of stay there and not fight to dig into the ground. So it's going to hit at a nice angle and get me some distance. This is like a more quick, because it's -5. I want to get this out, really here on my anhyzer on my release, and so it can hit the ground really quick and get to rolling and doing its job. So that's what I use those for. My turn discs, my Champion turn, and I got a factory second turn. Both do the same thing. Hyzer flip up, travel, kind of fade out to the right, and eventually come back in. This one gets me some good distance. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, but this one has got me the most distance. And I'll use this in the woods where I'll have a line of trees and there's this S pattern I need to grab. This is the one that'll do it. It'll get through, it'll kind of fade out a little bit to the right, and eventually find its way back in. And I don't have to put a whole lot of muscle behind it. I don't know what the exact weight is, but all I know is that this has been my distance driver forever and a day, and really, really love it. It's one of my favorites. If I ever lost that one, I would definitely cry. And then the last of my drivers, Champion Boss from Innova. I really like this one, mainly for forehands. If I need to get through a gap from a standstill, it's super stable in regards to like on its initial release. But then of course this thing is just an overstable disc. So if I get some ani on it, it'll fight back. If I get an anhyzer line out of it, it'll hold that hyzer, and eventually it has a nice skip at the very end. So this is what I really like that disc for. Get those S patterns, or if I just need like a really hooking type shot, but that'll get me some distance. So that's what I use that one for. The Thunderbird, Champion Thunderbird, it's another forehand. It's another forehander. I like it because it's stable. This will also tell me, like, if I roll my wrist over, it'll go that way and stay there. But if I get this thing out nice and flat, it travels out nice and flat, and then has a nice finish to the right. I don't do a whole lot of backhand with it. This one I found. It's a Discraft crank. Called the guy and never got an answer back. All I know is this thing does crank. It just goes forever. Generally, when I throw it out, I'm looking at a hyzer. It comes up and it just, grabs the air and just like, it looks like it's surfing. It just surfs the air and then eventually comes back in. I really like it just because I, like my factory second turn, it gets me max distance. And then the dynamic disc trespass. Simple, lucid plastic. Simple again. I try to get it hyzer to flat, and this thing just kind of gives me a lot of good distance. I can get it nice and low. Let's see here. What else have I done with this? And it's also good for like long, hyzers, but like max distance, So yeah, that's basically what I got. And then of course, my bag holds 20 discs in here, a couple of discs in there, all your little pocket for everything else. I have side pockets for your waters, my Big Daddy Disc Golf Mini, and then of course my friction gloves friction glove. Big fan of friction gloves. Definitely takes the grip factor out of my game. I don't have to think about grip and like having it released too early. If it's especially if it's like wet conditions, the grass is wet or it's raining, and or if I'm in dry conditions, it's hot. My hands get sweaty, so I don't have to worry about like my discs getting, my hands grip or anything kind of slipping. So that's what I really love about friction gloves. So this is their very first run prototype. I had it for a couple years now. The first finger and the thumb are starting to wear out, so I actually got to get me another pair. But really enjoy friction gloves. So yes, and yes, it is PGA sanctioned. So yeah, that's my in the bag from an amateur standpoint. So yeah, I hope to look back on these discs one day and look at this video one day and see what I was playing with before, and maybe I'll find some old favorites. So yeah, there goes.